All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I want to welcome you to our first Google Hangout, describing the different areas of the city that a lot of SUNY-O students live in. Today, we're joined by Danica, and she's representing Midtown West and Hell's Kitchen area. We didn't receive any emails in advance, so we kind of prepared a couple of talking points. But if at any point you have questions that come up, send them to our email, which is sunyohousing@gmail.com, and we'll answer those for you live. So the first question that we have for you is if you could give us a brief summary of what your experience was apartment hunting in your neighborhood.
Okay, so for me and my roommate, we actually only had one weekend where we came into the city. So we were kind of under a time crunch. So we actually had a broker that we went through. And essentially throughout the span of one day, he showed us eight different apartments. And by the end of the day, my roommate and I discussed and we made a decision. So the downside was we had to pay a broker's fee, but the upside was that he was able to show us so many different apartments in such a short span of time. And yeah, so I guess we made a decision. We signed our lease the next day and we moved in about 2 weeks later.
Okay, great. I know in certain neighborhoods, some brokers tend to have exclusive listings where you can only see the apartment through that broker. Was that your experience, or could you kind of see any apartment you were interested in?
So we first actually went to a website called Naked Apartments, and we found our broker through that. And so we first called him. We said there are 3 or 4 apartments that we're interested in. And so he showed us those 3 and 4. And then he also showed us some more that he also knew were available. So that was really great in that he showed us more than just what we asked for.
Okay, great. Moving on to our second question, which is, knowing what you know now, would you have gone about apartment hunting in a different way, or do you think it worked pretty well the way you did it?
I would say it worked out pretty well given that we had a time crunch. I think that if we had already been living in the city or nearby, we could have looked for some no-fee apartments, but those take a lot of time and scheduling with the landlord. And so for us, we just weren't able to do that. So I think it worked out pretty well.
Okay, great. So how do you get to school, and how long does it take you? And would you say that the way you get to school is pretty reliable or not so reliable?
So I walk and it's 15 minutes. So it's I would say it's reliable as long as my legs are working. Yeah, I guess it's very convenient. I guess the downside is that sometimes in inclement weather, if it's snowing, if it's raining, it's more frustrating of a trek. But if I want, I can also take a crosstown bus. So
Okay, that's great. Next question is, if you don't mind us asking, what do you pay for rent? And is it pretty average for the neighborhood?
So I pay $13.50, which is kind of on the high side, and my apartment is $2,800. So I pay less than my roommate because my room is a lot smaller. So for the neighborhood, I would say it is on the high side. I know the lowest I've heard for Hell's Kitchen from our classmates is $2,300, and I think the average is about $2,500. So yeah.
Okay. And then finally, if you don't have anything else to add about that.
I guess one more thing is it really depends on your apartment. So my apartment is pretty spacious. We have a big living room, but for those paying less, they have either smaller bedrooms or smaller living spaces. So it depends on what you're looking for.
Okay. And then finally, what do you like or dislike about your neighborhood?
There's a lot of things that I like. I definitely like the location. I like the convenience to everything, especially to school. Being able to walk really makes things a lot easier. If I ever forget anything, I can run home. It's also very close to, it's very easy to go anywhere in the city. It's about 20-25 minutes to go uptown or Lower East Side, pretty much like anywhere in Manhattan. And it's about 30-40 minutes to go to Queens or Brooklyn. So definitely location. There's also a lot of food in the area, as it's called Hell's Kitchen. So pretty much anything you're looking for, Thai food, Mexican, French, Italian, pretty much like anything. So there's a lot of food, and it's also pretty residential. The area is pretty quiet where I live, and it's about 10 minutes to the Hudson River, so there's beautiful parks. It's really nice to run there or bike. So yeah, overall, it's a really nice area. Dislikes, I would say, one thing I don't like is in the summertime, you have to walk through Times Square, and that just gets to be a little too much. And the other thing I would say is that rent is a little higher than other areas in the city. Yeah.
Okay, great. It doesn't look like any of you guys have questions. Just checking our email here. But if you do think of anything, you can always email us after the fact. We're always available via email. Any other closing comments?
I guess some overall advice for housing. I know it's a stressful time, so I would say just don't get too stressed out about it. Everyone's going through it, and by the end of the week or the day, you'll have an apartment and you'll be in New York City. So, yeah, definitely enjoy that. And anything else? Not that I can think of.
Okay, great. Well, we're really looking forward to meeting all of you during Housing Day. Don't forget to RSVP to Housing Day by this Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. We're really excited to meet you and can't wait. Thanks for joining us. Bye.